it's kind of a writing quirk, and it's one of the things. I don't know if I've said this a lot, so you may be getting the exclusive first reveal of this.
Hi there, Terri Gillespie, and welcome to A2A, Author to Author. And I am so excited because award-winning, best-selling, critically acclaimed author Amanda Barratt is waiting to come on to the screen here in a few seconds. In the meantime, I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who has joined us for this interview. Especially my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, you're going to want to be a subscriber because there's a great giveaway that we're going to talk about a little bit later. In the meantime, let's meet Amanda Barratt.
Hello, Terri. This is such a joy to be here with you today.
Oh, it's an honor for me. So I'm just excited. So, Amanda, the book that I read, Within These Walls of Sorrow, and by the way, thank you for my signed copy.
Oh, absolutely. It was a joy to send that to you.
So, what I noticed is you do an incredible amount of research, and that just takes a lot of time, plus writing and rewriting to make this the narrative and the dialogue and everything just so beautiful. So that must keep you busy. Plus, if it snows a lot, are you out there with the snow plow?
I am not, thankfully. I don't shovel that. That sounds painful. I'd get very sore doing that. But we have gotten a lot of snow, even so much as a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I won't, should I not say it's almost 80 degrees here today?
Oh, that sounds blissful.
Well, I'll let you come down here in the blistering summer and then we'll switch places. How's that? So just knowing how busy you are, what is the best way for readers and my viewers to keep in touch with you?
So I always invite readers to visit my website, amandabarratt.net. They can subscribe to my newsletter, which is a wonderful way to find out what's coming up and to get all these fun behind the scenes extras. They can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, where I love just chatting about books and life and all sorts of lovely things.
That's great. Now, one of the things that we do, my husband does, is he puts all of those great links down in the description section. So when it says see more down below, click on that so you can see more. And there'll be all sorts of great links about Amanda's website, about her social media, and there'll be some other great information too. So also just a reminder to the viewers today to be sure and read the blog interview, because I ask Amanda different questions, and plus there's some cute little photos there that is also they're also there on the blog interview, and that link will be down below. And really, Amanda, this book, I'm always having trouble trying to find where's the best light. It's right in front of me. So your book was just emblazed itself onto my heart. And you and I've had several conversations about why these books are so important, but also books that are well researched and beautifully written. and with compelling insights into characters and historical events are all play an important role in your writing. Now, I I mentioned in the top picks for March that it's really important to continue to tell the stories of the Holocaust. And you and I have talked about that, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. It is so imperative, never more so now, especially as more and more survivors pass away each year.
Yes, it's so true. So, and some of their stories never get told, and that's so sad. But they are uncovering all sorts of information that people were never aware of. I was working with a family in Israel whose grandfather was a partisan in Bulgaria, and I can't talk too much about her book because it's they haven't released it yet. But what went on there was mind blowing, and so there are all these new stories that are coming out. Even though these precious souls are moving on, we have people like you who find those stories. How did you find this particular story?
So I came across the story of Tadeusz Pankovic and the Under the Eagle Pharmacy. I was watching a YouTube video of an American high school teacher who took his high school class on a tour of the former Krakow ghetto, and one of the places they visited was the pharmacy. And so that brief overview of like the tour of that inspired me to delve deeper. I wanted to know more, having been familiar with the story of the Krakow ghetto from Schindler's List, but the pharmacy is
Mm-hmm.
only very briefly mentioned. And so I wanted to explore more of that. And so I read Tadeusz Pankovic's memoir, and then that led to just wanting to share the story of not only the pharmacy, but the extraordinary women who worked alongside Tadeusz Pankovic, and as well as the Jewish people in the ghetto and what their experiences were like.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking. I mean, it was absolutely heartbreaking, and the fact that they stayed there to help the people was just amazing. I mean, I think I would. As much as I would want to be a hero, I don't know if I would have stayed. It would have been so easy to close up shop and just move on. So, yeah. Now, one of the things that we like to do is we love for the authors to read from their book. And a lot of times I'll make suggestions to authors about what they would like to read, but I really felt that you should make that decision because you know some really compelling scenes that will get our readers really excited about this book.
Yes, so I have a scene that I've chosen to share, and it is one of the early scenes, just so I don't give too many spoilers away. And I have it right here.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to go to dark so that you can be the primary focus and go for it.
All right, so just a little background on the scene. This novel tells the story of Zozia, who is a Polish Christian, and Hania, who is a Polish Jew, and the interweaving of their stories and their friendship as they go through the events of the Second World War in Poland. So this comes from chapter 2, and it is in Zozia's point of view. Zozia, March 18th, 1941. Dr. Silberman answers the door in his shirt sleeves. In the years I've known the Silberman family, I don't recall ever seeing him without a coat and tie. Pani Lewandowska, please come in. Thank you. I follow him into the flat. Suitcases in a trunk are scattered throughout the sitting room, an assortment of items cluttering the chairs and side tables, the wallpaper darker in places where frames once hung. In the dining room, Penny Silverman and Rena are busy packing dishes into a crate, their movements rushed, almost frantic. Thea, Penny Lewandowska is here, Dr. Silverman turns to me. If you'll permit me a few moments, I'll gather up what we have. Of course. He leaves the room and I turn to the women. Good evening, Penny Silverman. Hello, Raina. It's strange somehow to be in their dining room, reading them as I would on any other ordinary day when nothing about the present situation is in the least ordinary. It's kind of you to come. Hair straggles from Penny Silverman's chignon. I hope you'll pardon the disarray. Only a housewife as fastidious as Penny Silverman would think to apologize for the state of her home at a time like this. She's always taken such pride in it, though. The times I've visited, I've often seen her lovingly straightening a piece of bric-a-brac, smoothing the lace doilies on the side tables. One would be hard-pressed to find so much as a speck of dust anywhere. Please don't apologize. I hold out the cloth-wrapped loaf of bread. I brought you this. I thought you might not have had time to think about supper today. Thank you. That's very kind. Penny Silverman continues to empty the china cabinet. Rena, will you take that to the kitchen, please? Rena brushes sawdust from her hand. I smile as I hand her the bread. She gives me a little smile in return, but her eyes remain somber as she leaves the room. Penny Silverman kneels and places dishes in the crate. Spilled sawdust scatters the floor around her. Here, I cross the room and bend down beside her. Let me help you. She glances up, face taut. Fatigue has drawn circles beneath her eyes. Thank you, she says quietly. I reach for the plates and help her pack them in the sawdust. The crate is full by the time Dr. Silverman returns, Rena with him, each carrying an armload. They set the items on the table. I rise and wipe my hands on my skirt. On the table is a silver coffee set, a tablecloth of finely worked lace, a volume with the word photographs embossed in gold, and 4 framed photographs. One of a young Dr. and Penny Silverman on their wedding day, the second of a seated middle-aged couple with children of various ages gathered around them, taken probably several years before the Great War. In the third, Penny Silverman holds a round-cheeked baby, her smile radiant. Baby Hanya looks up curiously at her tata rather than at the camera. Pride and love shines from Dr. Silverman's eyes, a memory preserved in muted black and white. The last is of the Silverman family, taken only a few years ago. They look as if they're on holiday at the peak of a mountain rising in the background as they stand, smiling, windblown, the carefree moment captured by the camera. I look up from the photograph to find the Silvermans watching me, faces drawn tight. They are holding themselves together by thread. I'll keep them safe for you. Dr. Silverman nods. We know you will. Penny Silverman regards me with the same steady assurance. It's good of you to do this for us. The weight of their trust settles on my shoulders. I heard the crashes and thuds the night SS men searched the Silverman's flat, robbing them of their valuables, of possessions woven into their family for generations. The items on the table are all the more precious because they've already lost so much. It humbles me to be entrusted with them. There's no need for thanks, I swallow. I only wish it did not have to come to this. It won't be so bad. Dr. Silverman gives a slight, sympathetic smile, as if trying to reassure me. Shouldn't it be the other way around? But what reassurance could I offer that wouldn't taste fault? Podgorza is only on the other side of the river. We'll manage, until the war is over at least. Shame fills me, and then anger flares quick at its heels. That these good people are on the eve of being forced from their home isn't the worst of it. Non-Jews have lost their homes as well, ordered to pack their belongings and vacate as the Germans requisition the best residences in the city. But though we are all at the mercy of the occupiers, the Silvermans are being uprooted because of the simple fact of their religion and birth. It's wrong, so terribly wrong, and I can do nothing to stop it. Yes, of course you will. Do I say it to reassure them or convince myself? Maybe it's futile on both counts. Dr. Silverman stacks the framed photographs and wraps them in the tablecloth. I'll help you carry everything upstairs. I should be going. Doubtless they still have much to do this evening. This is their last night in their home, and they must surely wish to be alone as a family. But I can't leave without saying goodbye to Hanya. I turn to Penny Silverman. Is Hanya here? I'd like to say goodbye to her if I could. Penny Silverman nods, her faint smile tinged with sorrow. She's in the kitchen. Thank you, I say quietly. The Silverman's kitchen is at the back of the flat, the door ajar. In the doorway, I pause. Hanya stands at the kitchen dresser, an absent look in her eyes as she packs a hamper with cooking utensils. Hanya? She turns as if startled, perhaps pulled out of some memory. Sosha, I didn't hear you come in. I just came to collect what you have for me. Your father is going to help me bring it upstairs. Is there anything you'd like me to keep for you? She hesitates. No, but thank you. It eases my parents' minds to know our things will be safe with you. The murmur of voices from the dining room filters into the kitchen. I wanted to say goodbye. She nods, presses her lips together. We may not be neighbors anymore, but we won't be far away. Perhaps you might visit. You're always welcome. Even as I say the words, I wonder how easy it will be for the inhabitants of the ghetto to move freely outside its boundaries. I'll come if I can. Henya's voice is hesitant, as if she wonders the same. She lifts her chin. I'm sure we'll see each other soon. How young she looks, chin bravely lifted, even as she blinks as though forcing back tears, standing on the precipice of a future that promises no certain footing. For an unguarded moment, her eyes hide nothing from me. In them is everything she does not say, a world of fear and uncertainty and loss. The ache in my chest expands. I want to tell her everything will be all right, but I can't because I don't know if it will. Instead, I keep my smile strong. Then there's no need to say goodbye. You're right, she smiled, a forced steadiness in it, only the slightest waver at its edges. Why should we say goodbye?
Wow. You know, it's like how Zosia is trying to bring normalcy to something that is absolutely abnormal that's going on. And so no matter what you say, no matter what you do, it's just like teardrops, in a parched land. So that was beautiful. You really captured the fact that the family had was it Silver. I have a friend whose name is Silverberg. So last name is Silverberg. So I always saw their faces. When I would read that. So yeah, yeah, it's like going on to death row and looking at someone who's ready to go to the electric chair and say, how was your dinner?
Yes,
how was your last meal? So
it's finding that normalcy when nothing about the situation is normal, nothing about the situation is as it should be. And in countless memoirs I read, I encountered stories like that, children, talking about as they packed to leave for the ghetto, what would they bring, what would they leave behind, those decisions. I mean, these are ordinary people in circumstances that are horrific and that are unimaginable.
yeah, yeah, and imagine a child, do I take this toy, thinking that you're going to play? Well, this toy would be my favorite toy, and I can take this outside. And yeah, maybe not.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. So, yeah. So even though these stories are so difficult, they're so important for us. And authors who make the brave decision to write these books um, uh, are voices for those that no longer have a voice. And and that's the thing that I say thank you. One of the friends that I had who, she had her tattoo, and her family, she lost all of her family. And I met her in Philadelphia, and she's gone now, and all of her stories, and she would tell some of the most horrible stories, but then when she accepted her Messiah, she traveled around talking about forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness, and even going to Germany and Poland and talking about forgiveness. So there are other sides of the story as well.
What an incredible legacy that she left.
Yes, yes. And daughters who do the same. So, yes. There's so many questions that I have about what does it take to be courageous? I mean, what is the difference between a person who turns away and one who sees, but then the next step, which is to do something about it.
Yes, that is true. I always go back to this memoir I read about a Polish young woman during the war, and she ended up sheltering several Jewish people in the villa of the German officer she worked for. So she was like a servant for a German officer, and she ended up hiding these people in the basement. But that's not how she started. She started with leaving food by the fence of the ghetto wall. And that's what she said. She says, my journey started there. It didn't start with that, much bigger act, but it built up and it built up. And so I think that really also would express the way it was at the pharmacy, that it was these small acts
Hmm.
that they began and that they continue to grow and grow. And, they didn't view themselves as heroes. But what they did was incredibly heroic, but they didn't view themselves as heroes. They were ordinary people looking at this horror, saying, we must do something. We cannot remain silent witnesses. And in their actions, the individual lives they touched, in the vast scale of it, sometimes we wonder, did that make an impact? But, those individual lives, as we each impact on the human scale becomes the vast
Hmm.
scale. And that is really the
Hmm.
legacy of those pharmacists and the legacy of so many who rescued and who resisted during the Holocaust.
Amanda, I think the lesson for us is that sometimes God calls us to take a step toward speaking out against injustice and speaking up for others. And sometimes maybe it's the bread by the wall to begin with, and then little by little, God shows us how to do things we never thought we would be capable of. And I think those are other benefits of reading these stories as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm ceaselessly inspired as I read and research in these stories of these very ordinary people who did these great things. They didn't view themselves as heroes. They were simply doing what they knew to be right and what they believed that they should do. And I think that we can draw so much inspiration from that in our own lives today.
Hmm. Hmm. Ah, yes. So, what are you working on next?
So my next novel returns to Poland during the Second World War. This one's set in the Warsaw. It explores the journey of two sisters, twin sisters, and their individual journeys of resistance and resilience. It explores such events as the Warsaw Uprising of 1944, when the Polish underground resistance rose up in Warsaw in a heroic and tragic 63-day battle to liberate the city. And so it draws into some of the Polish resistance, which I don't think many people know. It also explores the Warsaw Ghetto and the efforts of a group of women led by Irena Sendler to rescue Jewish children. And
Hmm.
so it delves into these events against the canvas of the story of two sisters and the enduring bond of sisterhood in the midst of, war drawing them apart.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to read that one. I know. I remember reading that Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman, was so inspired by Irina's story that she wanted to play play her in the movie. And I thought, talk about miscasting, because Irina, first of all, she's Jewish, and Irina was not Jewish. And Irina, what was she, like 4 foot 11 or
Yes,
something?
she was petite and blonde, and she had blue eyes. I mean, I'm very excited that people are making a movie and that there would be film, because I think that we need to stories like Arena's can be so powerful. But yes, it'll be interesting to see how the casting turns out.
Yeah. Do you know if that's still like on the docket somewhere?
Every so often, I Google it. So, and
Yeah.
there hasn't been much news recently.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hope that it does come out, whoever plays Irina. So, as I mentioned earlier, the A2A blog interview, has so many great other insights into Miss Amanda. And it also talks about the giveaway and how to increase your chances of getting the giveaway. And the giveaway is, ta-da, you don't get my book. readers. Sorry, as Amanda signed it for me. So, but that is our giveaway this month, thanks to Kriegel Publications and Miss Amanda. This will be our giveaway, and you can do up to 6 entries to increase your chances. And the way to figure out how to do that is to go to the blog and go down below in the description section. But I can give you a hint. It has a lot to do with like, commenting, and sharing and subscribing. So, and by the way, my current subscribers, if you comment and like, you get those extra entries as well. Now, one of the things that I like to do in the YouTube interviews is I like to ask questions that are a little different and a little more fun, because we've talked about some pretty heavy subject matter here. Important, very important, but a little heavy. So I thought, is there something about yourself, Amanda, that most people don't know about?
So yes, and it's kind of a writing quirk, and it's one of the things, I don't know if I've said this a lot, so you may be getting the exclusive first reveal of this, but I actually, when I'm editing, I have a process, and part of that process involves reading dialogue out loud. So I like to, as I print out my manuscript, and I'll sit with a red pen and I'll edit it, and I'll read all the dialogue out loud to make sure it matches the cadence of real conversation. And then I'll edit accordingly. And I will often get very involved in it, and I'll put on accents for the different characters and kind of, take on different personas. It's super fun. I love doing it. And so my family will hear me in the other room talking to myself, but they're used to that by now, quirky writer. But so that's something fun that I typically do. And I'm actually doing it right now for the Warsaw Sisters. So
Oh, good. So you get to be two voices talking back and forth with the sisters.
well, I get to be
Yeah.
all the places because I'll do all the characters, male characters, even German characters, German officers and things like that. So it's fun. It's fun to almost as if I were narrating the audiobook.
Yeah. So I imagine when you first started doing that, the door was opened a few times by your parents saying, "Are you okay?" Yeah, if our families knew, I mean, what goes on in our head is bad enough, but talking about it out loud is they're only getting a small portion of everything that goes on inside of our heads. So
That's very
yeah.
true. Yes, the mind of a writer.
Yes, the mind of a writer. Um, on that note, as I mentioned before, that Kriegel and Amanda, I'm going to put this up here again, have the giveaway for a copy of Within These Walls of Sorrow. Now, how many viewers out there would like a copy of this amazing book? And if you don't win, then I really encourage you to buy this book. It's one of those books that is going to stay on the shelf. It'll just, because you're going to read it more, at least more times. So I mentioned a little earlier that there are some hints on how to increase your chances. There's only one thing though, and that is that entries are only good from the contiguous US. So Alaska and Hawaii, we're so sorry. And Amanda, do you have any final words for us before we go?
Well, thank you so much for hosting me, Terri. This has been an absolute joy. I feel so deeply humbled and grateful to be able to share these stories and to be able to interact with readers. Meeting readers is one of the greatest joys for me as an author. So I always love it when readers reach out and I have the chance to get to know them. Some of those relationships I've built are just so precious to me. And thank you also to everyone for taking some time to spend some time with Terri and I today.
Yes, thank you. Well, I appreciate everyone watching the 28th episode of our my interviews. And just a reminder, all of that great information about Amanda is down below in the description section, including where to purchase her book. And also social media, and both of our social medias, so that, because we love, as authors, we love keeping in touch, as Amanda just said, we love keeping in touch with readers and people who have questions. We love it when people ask questions. We love it when people say, "Oh, I loved your book. Oh, it was so great. It was so wonderful." But we really love it when you ask questions. So now next month, my A2A episode will feature best-selling and award-winning author Nicole Deese. Is it Deese or DC? Do you know?
I don't, but she's an amazing author.
Oh my goodness. I just finished The Words We Lost. I haven't cried, so I've cried buckets. So, but it was just, it's incredible. So, but in the meantime, thank you for watching. God bless, and keep reading.